Hello and welcome back to our section 2 of the Witcher episode with the Geek Show. We're gonna just kick off because I think we've had a little general chat and let's just get into it. We just talked there about the first 3 episodes. How did the rest of the season feel to you? Did you think it?
It definitely picked up in terms of pace.
Yeah, I feel like the first 3 episodes were a bit more like trying to introduce our 3 main characters, Geralt, Yennefer and Cirilla. Or just Ciri. Let's just keep it called Ciri through this episode.
Yeah, because that's the thing, right? Apart from Yennefer and Geralt, couldn't have... Well, and Jaskier, obviously. But I couldn't have named you any other characters.
Yeah, I think...
And that's not because they weren't interested in anything, I just forgot their names.
It's a packed show, I would say. That's the thing.
Yeah, there's so many characters that I couldn't distinguish who was who, and I was... Because I know the timelines jump as well, so I was like, so is this character dead or are they alive?
Yeah, what's going on here?
The Queen.
I think that's the thing is I'm just speaking from season 2 as well. I feel like the season 2 gets a bit more interesting because you have these characters that kind of been background characters up until now starting to move into the frame, and the whole thing is very...
God,
it's all about politics, basically. I would say they're all playing... It's like Game of Thrones, actually, in the whole sense of politics, because they're constantly all playing a game about who can be the most powerful, who's actually going to rule the continent. I think it's an interesting story, but I wasn't a big fan of how they told it in the first season, obviously, with the 3 timelines. Obviously, we've chatted about that before, but it's confusing, and I don't think they actually explained it very well, if you know what I mean, visually.
No, yeah, because it was like it was just a scene change, the way it transitioned timelines.
Yeah. And
it would jump about each episode, so it was, you kind of had to pay attention.
I mean, there's so many other ways they could have shown time change, for me anyway, because I've always said in the show that I'm a massive fan of costume design. It doesn't help that all the characters stay in the same outfit for 50 years.
Yes, exactly. They don't change their appearances, they don't change their clothes, so that doesn't help at all, whereas you're thinking, why do you have all different hairstyles for different timelines even?
The fashion's not changing in this world,
nobody looks the same for 2 years in a row, really.
I mean, what was it? I know this is not a great show to compare The Witcher to, but obviously the 13 reasons why they had all the flashbacks and the dream sequences. But one of the ways they did it was having, the main character have a cut on his head when it was in the real time, and then not have a cut on his head. There's things like that they can do, and I don't know why they didn't do it. That was
that was confusing until I twigged which timeline was which, and then I got into it. But the latter episodes were definitely the better ones because they actually started. Well, they had the main characters all meet up, and then they actually had.
Well, I think the first episode is more about focusing on Geralt and you getting into this world and realising there is monsters, there is bad people don't like Witcher. It just gives you a really good feel for the actual rest of the season. I love the tone that's set throughout, which is the whole world feels very grimy and lived in, if you know what I mean. It's not perfect.
It does feel real, realistic, if that makes sense.
I would say with Lord of the Rings, the way that the world building is done is that it feels very almost Garden of Eden-like, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, every time.
But meanwhile, this one...
Yeah, because we got the Shire and Rivendell. The only one I wouldn't say would that be probably Mordor.
Yeah.
Don't fancy living there, to be honest.
Me either.
Bit hot.
Yeah, but I think, it was alright, but... Come on, give us a bit more context with the timelines. Also, just the writing style got a bit of complaint. People saying that they didn't really like the quips. They felt like it was a bit too much like they were trying to be funny during serious moments.
The only thing that I noticed about that would probably be Jaskier's character.
Yeah.
And he was a great character, but sometimes you just kind of felt like he was his sort of lightheartedness was kind of just wedged into certain scenes, and I was kind of
I feel like the writers
tone right now.
The writers must have been sitting in the room going, yes, it's getting too dark. Make Jaskier tell a joke.
Yes.
Put a penny in the joke.
Yeah, that's the thing that I noticed about it. The rest I didn't think was forced humour or anything.
I'm not going to go too far into season 2, but obviously I feel like the writing quality does go down a little bit in season 2. There seems to be a lot more swearing, which I am not...
Yeah, I was shocked by that.
I mean, I am not one...
No, I don't care about swearing, obviously, films, TV shows, but it was... Like I said, I know I shouldn't compare it to Lord of the Rings, but that is what I'm used to when it comes to high fantasy. And to have people elves and all swearing, I was kind of huh?
Wait,
what's going on?
No, you guys are meant to be like prim and proper. Like,
Yeah, like
I mean, season 1, the swearing is actually done to a degree where it's all right.
It makes sense, to be honest,
Season
because I
2,
feel like when they swear, you're just kind of like, you know what, I'd probably like that if I was in that situation. Like, you know.
Yeah, especially like, you know, getting out that swamp and just going, I'm not gonna swear.
You can't swear because you're gonna get done.
I'm not gonna swear in here. Don't worry. But I think season 2, the writing quality did go down a little bit, where they just decided that they were going to constantly drop the F-bomb on a regular basis.
Oh really? That's annoying.
Yeah, it's a bit annoying. And it also just drags you out of the world as well, because nobody actually speaks like that. Well, not that I know of anyway. What did you think?
You live in Glasgow.
That's true. Just moving on. What did you think about the kind of world building of The Witcher?
Right, I got a bit confused at first because I didn't realise it was a continent it was based in, and I thought it was all one like kingdom. So I was like, why is there different like royal families? And then it took me like there was multiple kingdoms. That once I got past that, I was like, oh okay, fine. Yeah, it felt like an actual place, like it's a vast continent, but it didn't feel unexplored, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like all the cultures that you do get to see, they feel very different but also very connected.
Yeah, they feel distinctive, but also it feels like an actual continent, like we have in our world, but with fantasy.
Exactly, and I kind of love that they have kept the elves and the dwarfs. They kind of make you remember that this is a fantasy realm where magic is possible.
I think the fact that you got like weird monsters chasing you and magic, that might be the inclination. There's a bit of fantasy in there.
Yeah. I mean, what did you think about the monsters, by the way?
I thought they were going to be in it more.
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling The Witcher was going to turn into this whole Monster of the Week thing, which I'm not a fan of 100%. It could be fun every now and again. But The Witcher doesn't do a lot of witchering. It seems like it's a side quest for him.
That's the thing. So they kept going on, like in the first episode, he's not welcome here because in towns because he's like a monster slayer or something like that. But you don't see much monster slaying going on.
No, you're like, where's the monster slaying?
And I'm just like, surely he can just deny and go, no, don't do that at all, because he doesn't really do it very often, apparently. I
felt there was a very repetitive formula with the episodes where, Geralt says he doesn't want to get involved with, human matters, and then gets involved.
And then gets chucked out.
And usually something goes wrong when he tries to do good, which is kind of fun because you do actually then start to understand his mentality of there is no lesser evil, there is always just good and bad. He's a very black and white character, I would say. There's no moral grey area for him, You're either a good guy or a bad guy. You're either a monster or something else.
Yeah, no, exactly. But I seem to be more monsters.
See, with the monsters, though, I would say what I did like about it was they didn't ever try and be like... The monsters are actually the victims, if you know what I mean. Like, obviously, they had that one episode where there was the Striga, so that was the abortion one. The princess, the incest princess.
Yeah, that was an interesting one, that one.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't shy away from topics that probably make me want to run it's the nearest town, like...
Yeah.
Which is weird, because usually in fantasy it is very perfectionist world, but in this world we're now getting, corrupt kings that are sleeping with their sisters and everything else.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that.
What did you think about all the... I loved how your first message to me was, there are a lot of boobs.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of topless scenes that were not necessary.
I feel like I should have warned you.
Yeah, you should have. Thank God I was watching on my own and my family didn't walk in. Just have to watch some dodgy or something.
Yeah, I mean, the season 2 does get better with the boobs. They only come out when necessary.
No, it was just like kind of weirdly unnecessary topless scenes with Yennefer because like...
I felt a bit bad for the actress, actually.
Yeah, I just kind of felt like I would not be happy about this.
Yeah, I think we're now waking up to this whole thing that how many actresses are actually getting exploited and tricked into signing contracts to say they've got to have a topless scene, and how comfortable are they actually with it. I feel like season 2 Yennefer, there is significantly less boobs from her, but that's maybe just because the actress has put her foot down and said that I don't want to do these topless scenes.
Yeah, and I completely understand because it was just kind of at that point you go, this is really unnecessary. This is not... There's no point in this.
Yeah. Just before we wrap up there, what did you think? Like, do you think there's a kind of a consistent message going on with The Witcher, with man being the real monster, or is there another message that I'm just not getting?
No, I think there probably is, because at the end of the day, the big battle at the end was between like
two human armies.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
There was no magic involved, really.
Exactly.
Apart from the old witch there.
At the end of the day, we had all these fancy lands with always like magical problems, but it boiled down to two human armies.
Yeah, and it's interesting to watch it play out because you kind of are expecting to be this big magical event. I mean, it is, obviously. Yennefer incinerates herself, but yeah, magic doesn't actually play a big part in it. It's almost interesting to see how even the witches and wizards are kind of bogged down by bureaucracy and paperwork and red tape.
Yeah, exactly. They have like political issues and stuff as well going on,
which makes it more realistic because you're a bit like, if you didn't have all these political issues, you'd probably be asking yourself, why are they not just solving it with magic?
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of just a bit like
which is nice because then you don't have this whole thing where you're like, they're just being lazy and leaning on magic to get out of every single problem. Anyway, I think that wraps up our second season.
I've not seen the second season. I've only seen season 1.
Right, that wraps up our second section. So we'll just move on to our next song, which of course is House of Memories by Panic at the Disco.